Hi, I'm Brant Menswar, and welcome to my show, Just a Moment. As a former world touring musician turned keynote speaker and author, I've experienced my share of life-altering moments that have both broken me and propelled me forward. How you leverage those moments or push through them will define your destiny. Each week on my show, I'll provide tools on how to maximize those moments, as well as interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs, entertainers, and athletes on how the power of a single moment changed their life. Join me to learn how to change what's possible for your life. It'll take just a moment. Today's guest has lit up stage and screen, but you might know him best as the purple hoodie guy from The Greatest Showman's Workshop YouTube video. This person knows a thing or two about making moments, not just for himself, but for others as well. Today, we are proud to present Broadway's very own Ben Thompson.
I'm Ben Thompson, and this is my moment. Grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right smack dab in the buckle of the Bible Belt. My dad was in D.C. in politics. Grew up with my mom and three sisters. He's surrounded by family and the fields. And then went to school in Texas and then moved to New York as fast as I could. My mom was a community planner, which was great. She worked for something called the Community Service Council. It was a cool way to grow up, a single mom, raising 4 kids on her own, and the importance of serving others. That's what she did for her job. And she worked there for a long time, got tons of awards for it, always recognized by the community. She's like the unofficial mayor of Tulsa. You can't go anywhere without someone being like, Jan! And so like the idea of community service, or a lot of kids my age looked at it as something you do if you get in trouble, or something you have to do for a merit badge for Boy Scouts or something. It was like just ingrained in us to do it. Sundays at Habitat for Humanity, or going to the church and helping out there. It was just a way to live. Looking back, at the time it was a little tedious. I just want to go play with my friends, or I want to go do something else, or let me play the guitar for a little bit, let me go run around. But looking back, it was such a gift, and it's certainly something that I'm trying and catch myself teaching my 7-year-old. Being like, this is what we do, we show up. My mom was that part of it for sure. And then my dad is a lobbyist, and he worked in DC for decades and decades, and had a stint in the White House for a little bit. We saw him like once a month growing up, and then we had some time with him in the summers and stuff. So he was there, and he was always a guy who would show up. He was always there for us, which is cool. My dad has always said, the meaning of life is helping others. What can you do to help someone else? I have 3 older sisters that I grew up with, and then when my dad remarried, I have step siblings and half siblings, but I'll focus on the 3 girls because they're incredible. Oldest sister was, and still is occasionally, a Montessori teacher out in Colorado. She's the one that always knows what we're gonna do. She's a teacher, so we got a plan. And then middle sister, Abby, graduated from Georgetown Law School. She's practicing privacy stuff now, and she and I are the most alike in terms of personality. She was the other artist. She went to dance in LA for a little bit, and in New York for a little bit, and then was like, yeah, I'll try law school. So, of course, growing up, the 4 of us, when we went places, it was like, Jamie took Hallie, the youngest sister. So I'm the youngest of all of them. So Hallie's the one right above me. Jamie took Hallie, and Abby had me. So I've always been hanging with her. And Hallie's out in California. She works at a school out there, recruiting a high school called J. Sarah. And she's legitimately the funniest person I know. And that's her. She's just like bright light. When you need a pep talk, you call Hallie. I wouldn't change any of it. I think I learned respect of women early. And growing up in Oklahoma, where that's not always the case, watching my mom raise the 4 of us on her own, I don't think there's anything more valuable for a son to see than his mom doing that, and what it means to show up for your family, and what it means to do anything you have to do to make sure that you're giving your kids the life you want them to pursue.
Ben went from doing theater as a pastime to seeing it as a potential path for the rest of his life on one fateful family vacation.
The first show I ever saw was the original company of Phantom of the Opera. And I remember we were in New York. I was on a trip with my dad. I didn't want to go, and the way they got me in was like, my dad was like, yeah, there's an elephant on stage. I was like, what? This thing rolls out on 4 wheels. But I remember being in that audience, the chandeliers swinging down, the phantoms popping up, the voices, everyone being like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. It was a dream, and then had some aptitude for it. My mom fostered it. Teachers, I had some amazing teachers that fostered it. Sherry Lewis, Steve Dyer, Sarah Joyce, JoJo Nichols, Billy Sue Thompson. The list goes on and on. I could name them all. I loved it. I loved the idea of putting on someone else's clothes, telling a story. Broadway was it, man. Broadway was it.
Ben's theatrical success started before Broadway. Though his path to Broadway was swift, it was equally as eventful.
That was Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at Theater Tulsa. That was my first public lead with the newspaper articles and the interviews and people recognizing you. I put that in quotes because it's Tulsa. And my first professional show was at a regional theater in Fort Worth, which is down the street from TCU, called Casa Mañana. And first show I did there was Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. This might get a little vulgar, so I apologize. But talk about taking your moment, right? It was my first professional audition. It was a dance call, which, great mover, not a dancer. And it was for Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. And it's basically a clogging number, a tap number, in cowboy boots. And everybody sees your audition at these big group auditions, right? Everyone's watching. And it was on the stage. And the director, who has become a dear friend of mine, and he was talking to everybody before, and he's like, guys, here's the thing. You're football players, and you're going to a whorehouse for free. I need to see the energy of what that means, right? So the music starts, and I literally look around at everybody and just go, all right, boys, let's go. Free pussy at the top of my lungs. Forgive my language. And he told me that's what got you the job. That's exactly, it wasn't your dancing, it wasn't your singing, it all helped, but it was that moment. As I say, Broadway was always the dream. I didn't really know the roadmap to get there. I didn't audition for conservatories, the Michigans, the CCMs, the Carnegie Mellons, the big theater schools. I went there undeclared. And so I was taking some of those prereqs and was walking around campus and saw an audition for Jesus Christ Superstar. And I was like, I should audition for a show. It'd be kind of cool. Be part of the community, whatever. And auditioned, got it. They wouldn't give me a part because I wasn't a major, but I covered Judas and I found my people. I was accepted. I just found my people. I started looking for auditions immediately. New York has a way of humbling you quickly. And I had been a big fish in Little Pond my whole life. So I thought for sure I was going to show up. First show I auditioned for some regional theater, I'll get it. I'll start building my resume. And went to my first audition. It was for some dinner theater in Ohio. Finished my song. And like most auditions, finished. And they were like, okay, thank you. And my reaction was, wait, no callback? Who did I think I was? Who did I think I was? And they were like, no, you can go. Are you kidding me? It was just a good moment of, okay, man, you're going to have to take this a little bit more like a freaking professional, you know? And then went, who knows, 15, 20 auditions without a callback. And then ended up working decently quickly. The second show that I booked was actually a show where I met my wife, which was the national tour of Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So it all worked out in the end.
One of Ben's best Broadway memories came unexpectedly with the inception of a new jukebox musical unlike any that had come before it.
My first album I ever bought with my own money was Green Day's Dookie. And so fan from the get-go. And got an audition for this untitled punk rock musical. And they gave us a list of 5 poems we had to recite. I was like, what is this? Did not sing a punk rock song, but sang something totally inappropriate. Thankfully booked it and got to workshop. And speaking of moments, we didn't know if it was going to go to Broadway. We did the workshop. We were working with songs that they hadn't released yet. And that first workshop was all building up to this performance for them that if it happened, if they liked it, we got to do the show in Berkeley. And 3 or 4 days before that presentation, one of the lead guys got appendicitis. And the director called me and was like, hey, can you come in for a second? We want to talk to you. And I was like, oh shit, I'm getting fired. And I walk in and they're all at the table and there's one chair. And I sit down and I was like, what's up? They're like, so here's the deal. So-and-so has appendicitis and we want you to do the role for the presentation. And my head exploded. It was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Give me a shot. This is what I've been looking for. I didn't get to play a lead role for another, 4 or 5 years, but still got to do it and got to sing these songs for Green Day at that presentation. Obviously got greenlit and we got to do it. And the same kind of thing happened for the night in Berkeley. We'd had a couple of understudy rehearsals, but the same guy got sick and couldn't do the show the night the reviewers were there. It's so cliche to say that cast is a family, but we're meeting in 11 days from when we're recording this for a 15-year reunion, and pretty much everyone's going to be there. It truly was a family, and a lot of it had to do with our proximity to Green Day and the way that they took us in. They would take us to the recording studio, and we recorded songs with them, or they'd have a party at the recording studio, and we'd just hang out with them all the time. It was such a good moment for me. Not to harp on that word, but it changed everything. But totally, it was the realization of a dream. It was realization of hard work and grit and persistence. And you may not know it, but your hard work will pay off.
Working with Green Day wasn't the only once-in-a-lifetime gig Ben would get involved with. What started off as a concept album between friends grew into an Academy Award-nominated film that Ben was a foundational part of.
We had worked on Greatest Showman for years before this presentation. Like once or twice a year, Justin Paul and Ben Pasek and Hugh Jackman would get us together, and there were a couple of us that were there consistently. I guess the first time we recorded From Now On, and we will come back home, and we will come back home. Just as a demo, Justin had reached out and been like, we're recording this demo for potentially being a part of this movie. Come sing it. I think it was me, Adam Halpin, Carrie Menalakis, and Natalie Wise. I think that's the four of us. And we recorded it, and it was another blizzardy day. And then from then on, like once or twice a year, we'd get together and they'd work on the script, or we'd work on music, and we'd do a little presentation here and a little presentation there. And it kept building and building. Into this final one, I was married, looking for the next gig, honestly. I don't think I was in a show at the time. Anybody who's been in any sort of gig business, it's feast or famine. And when things come up, when you have a chance to do something you love with people you love, regardless of the paycheck, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know what was really great about Michael Gracie, the director, and Hugh, and Benj and Justin, all of them, is there was never pressure. It was never like, you have to do this for us. It was like, yeah, this is important, and this is the performance. Like, this needs to go well, obviously. Production values were upped. There were mock-ups on a screen of what the shots are gonna be. But they were like, don't dress up, keep it cool, keep it casual, just be yourselves. And most of us in there have been in the business long enough to know probably weren't gonna be in the movie. So this might be the last time we get to all do this together. And it was like, let's just have fun. Let's just crush this for Benj and Justin and for Michael and Hugh. Let's just go out there and just do it, and do it for us. For me, I remember just being like, I might not get to do this music again. If this doesn't get greenlit and they don't make an album, or they make an album, they don't use me, I don't know. So I'm just gonna have the time of my life. What a room to be in. You watch that video and people that are huge stars now. Half of them are either starring in movies or on Broadway right now as we speak. It was unbelievable, man. It was unbelievable. And it was like at the start of Justin and Benj's meteoric rise. They were working on La La Land, but it hadn't come out yet, I don't think. But it was just like one of those reminding yourself that if you're in the room, you're supposed to be there too. And so just take advantage of the time that you got here, man. Like what a cool experience. Like whether it's shown on these YouTube videos, we didn't know any of that. We thought it was gonna be like, they're recording this so they can show the producers and people who are too important to be here. It turns out they were all in the room. But this is it for us. This is it. So let's do this for us. And let's just have a blast. Michael Gracie, the director, pulled me aside and was like, hey, listen, Hugh loves your energy, and he just had skin cancer and he's not gonna be able to sing. So we need you to just bring it as much as you can. So just go out there and do the Ben thing. Just bring as much of it as you can. And they did say to us, this is it. We need this to be really good. This has to be the best it's been, because if this doesn't go well, the movie's not getting made. So there was that kind of pressure, but it was never a, do this or you're never working in this business again. It was never that feeling. But yeah, they definitely were like, you guys got to bring it. You got to bring it. Just because you're a seasoned professional doesn't mean you don't have your own stuff you deal with. Just because you are a professional at something doesn't mean you don't get nervous, or doesn't mean you're not self-conscious. In fact, probably more so. And Kayala was nervous, and she and I had formed a friendship through all these workshops and everything. I wonder if she would say the same thing. But for me, it was like, okay, to take it back to like how I was raised, this is your chance to show up for somebody. When the song started, she hadn't come out from behind that music stand, ever. It had always been, she'd been there, we had been here. And when she came out, I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna do this. All right. I'd never stood on a chair before. It's not unlike me to do that, but it was like she needed it. And it was a chance to show up for somebody. I didn't do it because I was just trying to do what Michael had told me and do the quote unquote Ben thing, as the American Idiot Cats called me, Bentensity. That wasn't the only reason, but it was like, okay, she needs this. She needs something. Let me connect with her for a second. And so, you see me in the video. Am I gonna stand on a chair? You see me duck down? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm gonna take my spot right now. I'm gonna take up my space. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. Because from it, I don't take any responsibility for her performance. I don't take any responsibility for the energy in the room. But it was a cool moment between me and Kayala, for me. Just to lock eyes with her and be like, I got you. I remember her smiling. I remember her like recognition. I didn't know it was this at the time. I didn't know. So like, I did be like, remember this. I do remember that, just like a brightening, a lightning, like a breath. I wish that I could say that you could tell the shift happened in the room, or you can tell that this was a huge moment. But I think the reality is that it was just a bunch of people who were present in the moment. It was just about being there and showing up for each other that way. Really, if I were to really oversimplify what was going through my head, is that's something I say to myself before I go on stage every time. Is I'll say the serenity prayer, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. And then I say, you have nothing to hide, nothing to fear, and nothing to prove. Be present, listen. I think that's what it was. And you can tell when you watch the video that everybody is there. Part of that is Kayala's performance. Part of that is Benj's lyrics, Justin's music. And also, when you get that many people together who believe in something and understand it might be their last chance to do it together, the fuse is already lit. It's just a question of how long it is. And I think that just became the fuse reaching the end. If we're gonna keep this about showing up for people, that's really what it was. It was like, we're doing this. I don't care about the people in the suits. I care about Justin, who's sitting right next to me, who wrote this music, and Ben sitting over here across the room, who wrote this music. That's who I'm doing it for. And Kayala needs me, let's go. Let's go. And it helps that Kayala and I were close, but I think in that moment, if somebody else had the same line I did, they probably would have done maybe the same sort of thing. Maybe not. I'm borderline crazy, but I think that there's some reality to that. Like, we were all just there. I don't think we knew it was a moment until the song ended, because what you don't see, because they cut it short, is everyone jumped to their feet to applaud. It wasn't like oh wow, oh that was really good, I think we can make this movie. It was like, oh my God, it wasn't a church. It was a church. We gave them the spirit. You see it in Hugh and in Allie and in Jeremy. Everybody who's there standing up, they're not blocked to do that. They were moved to do that. Everybody was just right there. Like I said, we didn't know they were going to use these for behind the scenes. We didn't know that it was going to be seen. We didn't. By more than the people in that room. I had no idea that's what it was for. And I hadn't seen the video in a long time. I've read some of the comments. And it's evident there too. Like, when you give yourself the opportunity to show up for someone else and you just put yourself aside for a second, you can create a moment for somebody else, which as time goes on becomes your moment and becomes your chance to get to tell your side of the story or to meet a new friend. So I think the power of showing up, the power of taking a chance, being present, you never know the difference you can make.
Ben Thompson, you are on Just a Moment, and I cannot fucking believe that I am in this moment with you right now. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't fawn over people. I treat everybody, this is who we are. We're just humans. But you've been such a part of my life for so many years without, first of all, knowing even what your name was. I just knew you as Purple Hoodie Guy. You became the center of the end of every talk I give about the power of owning a moment and how it can change something forever. And that you don't need to be the star, that you don't need to be the person with all the authority. If you are just willing to own your moment and show up, incredible things can happen. But now that we have had a chance to chat, the thing that sort of really has made me even more impressed and like you on a whole other level is this idea that the moment was never about you. And what's so strange in this show is we talk about people who it's their moment. It's a moment that happened to them and it changed them and how it affected them. But from the very first time we had a conversation about this, it was incredibly clear, and you made it incredibly clear that this was not your moment. It was just a moment of support for somebody else. And that makes me even more excited because what kind of world could we live in if we decided to show up for each other in that way? And that's as much as you showed up for Cal on that day. I mean, you've showed up for me in this moment. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, brother, I cannot thank you enough for that.
Man, first off, I know this is audio, but I'm full on blushing. Not a lot of people want to talk to the guy in the back. And it's not like I've been avoiding talking about this. I don't know if I've ever been ready to, because it's not about me in that moment. I never want to take anything away from what Kayala did and what Benj and Justin and Michael and Hugh and everybody did with that movie. It's not about me. So I think there's been a level of discomfort of not wanting to make it about me. But your take on it helped me realize that that's not what it was going to be. This was going to be about showing up for others. And this is going to be about the difference. Like you said, what a world we would live in, man. And I'm so happy to be here. And I think it's important that when someone makes you feel good that you let them know. So thank you.
I appreciate honestly everything about just your openness and authenticity in hearing where I'm at, what I've been through. It's something that it gets me so excited for your next chapter as you continue to, of course, perform and do all the things that you love to do. But the new sort of counseling side that you are just finishing up schooling and getting all your certifications, literally showing up for people is now your job.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I don't know that
I don't have
you
a
know
choice
what
anymore.
you've signed up for.
I don't have a choice anymore. Now I do know what I've signed up for, and in a way of I've seen the benefits of therapy. 12 years ago, I went into therapy, and now I'm 12 years sober. Happy to talk about it publicly, and it wouldn't have been without my therapist and some other members of my community that I would have had that. And that's the gift that you can give someone that doesn't cost anything. We're also worried about price of stuff. But to be kind costs nothing. And to show up costs nothing. Maybe time, which is honestly the most valuable gift you can give someone anyway. So why not share a little bit?
Truth. It's this point of the podcast that we typically talk about a moment that you wish you could get back or maybe revisit for any particular reason. And you and I have had lots of conversation about this because this is a tough one. For some people, they've got something that has gnawed at them for years and years. And we've heard it on several episodes of people who have had that moment that they wish they could go back, that it was an obvious thing for them. But for others, it's a difficult conversation. Yeah. What are you feeling today about this conversation?
First off, you ask any recovering addict, and they have plenty of stories they wish they could take back.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, I was like, my first drink, do I regret that? Do I wish I had handled that differently the first time I did drugs? Is that the first thing? But no, those aren't it for me, because without those, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so even stories that like, I wish I could have changed or I wish I had handled differently, I learned from them. People say live with no regrets. That's impossible. That's impossible because perfection doesn't exist. But to be able to have a regret, make an apology if it's necessary, understand your impact on others, I know I'm going to be okay. There's a lot of funny stories that come up of like mishaps on stage, forgetting lyrics, but like those are all fun. Like I'm able to laugh at it. And I think I have regrets for sure. But I also know that I don't have to let them gnaw at me. I can sit down, have a conversation with them. I can look them in the eye, look myself in the eye in the mirror and be like, you messed up. Do you have the strength to go apologize to this person? Or to apologize to yourself? To forgive yourself? Or forgive someone else? But again, I go back to my therapist, my support network, my sponsor, my friends, my wife, my family. The advantage to starting my master's at the age I started at 43, just graduated at 45. I lived a life. This was not on my lifetime bingo card. Sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a shift in perspective. Am I standing in the darkness of self-deprecation and depression, or am I standing in light and gratitude? Like, where do I want to be right now? And I can make that choice, how I'm affected from everything and how I react to it. We're not responsible for other people's reactions. We're responsible for our own.
Yeah.
That's been huge through my teaching and through my sobriety.
What's your advice to somebody who we want to encourage to own their moment? What would you tell them about it?
Belief in yourself, faith in yourself, or if you have a higher power, faith in them. Remember the old 90s campaign, No Fear? No fear comes to mind. Don't be afraid to step out and up. Don't be afraid to be the guy on the chair. You know?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. If you're present and you are staying true to yourself and you're not doing it for other motives, the light's going to shine. It's just a question of how bright you make it.
For our listeners who want to follow along in the world of Ben and everything he's got going on, what's the, I am going to be holding your feet to the fire to be a little more active on social media since you suck at posting on social media.
I've been in school, Brant. Back off. It's at Brant Menswar is how you follow me.
Exactly.
On Instagram is really the biggest one. That's at It's Been Thompson.
Okay.
And thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Listen, bud, again, can't thank you enough. I have waited for a moment that I never thought was going to happen, and you made it happen, and I can't be more grateful for you.
Appreciate you, Brant. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Just a Moment. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend or two about it to help spread the word so everyone can find a moment that inspires them. Don't forget to leave us a review and check us out on the web at justamomentpodcast.com. Just a Moment is produced by Natalie Von Rose and Brant Menswar. For more inspiring shows like this, visit surroundpodcasts.com.